Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Presentation.
Just 6 more days to Election Day. Things are heating up, and Andy's got the rundown.
Sam, we had the first media interview with Judge James Hardesty following that regional settlement. And then we've talked about him and talked about him. And today we're going to talk to him. Senator Joe Neal, the Democratic candidate for governor. And also joining us is Pete Ernaut, campaign manager for Governor Kenny Guinn. And today, they're both on the hot seat. Sam?
Can't wait for this show to begin. Plus, we'll have our pundit panel, Greg Ferraro on the right, Pete Ernaut on the right, and Chris Wicker on the left. Join us for the all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
For almost 25 years, Randolph Townsend has brought fresh solutions to Nevada. In 1978, he campaigned for the rights of ratepayers by championing the Office of Consumer Advocate. Later a state senator, he took bold steps to fix Nevada's industrial insurance system, which was losing $1 million a day. An advocate of the disabled and mentally ill, Randolph Townsend was appointed by President Bush to the 15-member National Mental Health Commission. Senator Randolph Townsend, working for Nevada.
When Supreme Court Chief Justice Bill Maupin and his opponent, ex-Judge Don Charez, were both district court judges, their performance as judges was ranked in a 1996 Clark County Performance Evaluation. Of all judges rated, Bill Maupin finished in first place, 14 out of 18 categories. In fact, when it came to retention, Justice Maupin scored a 94%. His opponent only scored 69%. Records show Justice Bill Maupin has always been one of the top-rated judges in the state. Re-elect Supreme Court Chief Justice Bill Maupin.
Who is Joe Carter? Carter says he wants a quality school for every child. Really? Joe Carter would switch leadership in the Senate to Las Vegas liberals who took millions of tax dollars away from Washoe County children. Joe Carter's leadership team dismissed Washoe County as a sponge and passed legislation that stole millions from our kids. Call Joe Carter and tell him what his team calls a sponge, we call home.
The holidays are coming, and Ennis is here to help start the season with our 1/3 off pre-holiday sale. You'll save 1/3 off on all Drexel Heritage Dining Room, plus all leather and upholstery furniture. Select Thomasville Dining and all Thomasville leather and upholstery furniture is also 1/3 off. Ennis has 0% financing with no payments for up to 12 months or special 5-year financing at 7.9%. Shop early and take advantage of our 1/3 off pre-holiday sale at Ennis.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad and political analyst Ande Engleman.
There is an election for governor this year in the Silver State, and it is a race. You might not know that, though. Kenny Guinn has lots of money. His opponent, the Democrat, State Senator Joe Neal, doesn't have very much, but he's here today, and we'll join him at the table. Andy?
Yes, we have here Senator Neal, who's the Democratic candidate for governor. And we did invite Governor Guinn, but this did not fit in with his schedule. Unfortunately, we're pleased to have Pete Ernaut, campaign manager for Governor Guinn.
Okay, let's start out with you, Pete. The governor raised up a phenomenal amount of money, well over $3 million. Is that basically designed just to scare off any opponent?
Well, I mean, certainly campaigns take a lot of money these days, and probably 2/3 of that money was raised before the governor knew whether he had an opponent or not. So we certainly wanted to be in a position to be competitive. So I would suspect he could have raised a lot more, but as a lot of people know, the governor stopped raising money a few months ago.
Senator Neal, did you really hope to beat Governor Guinn when you entered this race?
Well, yes. But before I answer that question, let me just say this. I think it's a pleasure to appear here with the governor this morning. To answer your question, yes, I expect to beat Senator Guinn because we had the issues on our side, and it's just a question of getting our message out to the public.
Okay, and that's the realistic question, Senator Neal, which is how do you get the message out to the public without money?
Well, it's difficult, and you have to go.
You got 6 days left.
Yes, you go and meet people, you talk to people, you hope that the word of mouth thing would catch on, and people would help you spread that message, and which I think is happening now kind of all across the state, particularly in the larger areas such as Reno and in the Las Vegas area. We begin to get a lot of response. People are now looking at their ballots and beginning to ask questions about the candidates and what they believe in and what they propose to do if they're elected.
Were you surprised not to get the endorsement of the state Democratic Party? We've talked about that a lot on this program.
No, I was not surprised at all, because we don't have a party as such in this state. We have a gaming party, and the people who have the name of Democrat leadership virtually controlled by the gaming industry in the state, so I did not expect to get the endorsement.
Senator, you're saying that the gaming industry controls the Democrats. What about the Republicans?
It's the same thing. We just have one party.
But isn't it true with that in almost any state, for instance, in Pennsylvania might be the steel industry, that the largest industry in any state is a big player in politics?
Not to the point of actually selecting the individuals and making public policy for the state. So we have a gaming industry that's actually making public policy for the state of Nevada. And that's true when you look at the tax commission that has been appointed by the governor. A large number of those individuals are from the gaming industry, and they are the one that pushing those policies in terms of who would pay what taxes in this state.
Pete, what he's describing is called an oligarchy as a form of government. Is that what we have here in Nevada? Is it the wealthy and the rich in gaming that are running the state?
Well, I respect Senator Neal very much, but I certainly don't agree with that. I think that there's a lot of conspiracy theories that become a crutch for people, but I think at the end of the day, whether it's Kenny Guinn, whether it's Lorraine Hunt, whether it's John Ensign, whether it's Harry Reid, all these folks that have risen to the highest levels of office in this state are all people that have worked very hard and people that have raised money from across the board in all of our major industries. And as you pointed out, gaming is our major industry, so obviously they're going to participate at a higher level than most. But you know, I haven't found, and I've been involved in politics now for probably 15 years and running campaigns, have not found indiscriminate relationships with the gaming industry and anyone along the way. So I just think that that's it makes good press, but unfortunately it's not accurate.
How do you feel, Senator Neal, about the boycott that's been called for against people voting for the Democratic ticket because of the lack of support for you?
Well, the people who have made that decision, that's their choice to make. And if they want to respond to what is happening in this particular race, they have that choice to say they would not vote for Democrats in order to express, you know, their feelings, you know, relative to my participation in this race and the support or the lack of support which is not receiving from the so-called leadership of the Democratic Party.
And Senator Reid on this program was very angry at the fact that you did not endorse Shelley Berkeley in her race.
That I did endorse Shelley Berkeley.
That you didn't.
That you endorsed her opponent.
Oh, okay. That's not the real reason that why I'm not receiving her support from people like Reid. The reason
he sent you money, though.
Yes. Well, he sent me $2,000. If he wanted me to send him a check back, I was certainly glad to do that. And but the reason why they're not supporting me is because of my position on gaming, wanted to tax gaming. Matt Dushoff, a gentleman that I respect, attorney, young guy, Caucasian, was running. I was going to support him. He got up and made a speech at the state convention about gaming, and all of a sudden, whatever support was out there disappeared. And they told him he was not a viable candidate. And so the last day I stepped into the race because he decided not to run.
Didn't the same thing happen with Bob Price when he was chairman of taxation and tried to tax gaming, and then suddenly they put an opponent up against him?
Oh, yes, yes. They've had opponents up against me 4 times in my history of being 30 years in the legislature. I had to run against gaming industry in my district 4 times. The last time, put up a young gentleman with about $500,000, and they were not successful because money was not a factor in my reelection as the state senator.
Pete,
but it is, you know, when you get into a statewide race.
Pete, I want to throw one question at you on leadership from Governor Guinn. Governor Guinn knows we've been in trouble financially for the past 4 years. Why didn't he raise taxes way early in his term instead of leaving it to the point where now it's likely that rainy day fund is going to disappear the minute that the legislature kicks in?
Well, it's not that simple, Sam. I mean, first of all, I think the governor needed to prove to the citizens of the state and the voters that they were using the dollars they currently send in as efficiently as possible. That's why he did the overhaul of state government. That's why he privatized the workers' compensation system. That's why he left 1,500 jobs unfilled to prove to people that he could run a lean operation. The second part of that is, you know, what people miss is the concept of raising taxes in this state is not that easy. Property tax is certainly unpopular to raise. The sales tax is at a level that's probably at the point of elasticity. I don't know how you'd raise it past 7 1/4. Income tax is constitutionally prohibited. You can't extend sales tax to food. Those are all the big ticket items, and they're generally off the table. So when you talk about raising taxes, it's not that simple. Okay. And we're looking at a huge number here.
Okay, we got to say that's the end there. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here. We appreciate it. And when we come back on Nevada Newsmakers, Jim Hardesty will be here. If this man can solve the problems he has apparently solved so far with the cities and the counties, we may be sending him to the Middle East next. We'll be right back.
Sure, it's been tough.
We've been living a lie for years.
Keeping our scores to ourselves.
Sneaking off to motels to get dressed up.
Ducking into theaters.
It's bittersweet.
The life of a closet.
Say it.
Opera buff.
Opera. It's okay to love it. Join us as we celebrate Nevada Opera's 35th season with Verdi's Rigoletto. Tickets start at $25 through Ticketmaster.com, at the Pioneer Center, or by phone.
You can't see us, can you?
It's so easy. Easy Router. Easy Router. It's so easy.
Sewer line failing, septic system draining slowly. Hey, don't tear up your expensive landscaping. Call Easy Router, your no-dig sewer and pipe replacement experts. Easy Router for a total replacement of sewer or drainage system, all without digging. For all your plumbing needs, call Easy Router.
It's so easy. Easy Router.
Over the past 20 years, I've seen a lot of changes in education.
I hope that I've had a positive effect on the students who have sat in my classroom.
I've taught them English and math.
I've taught them science.
But if there's one legacy I hope I've left with them,
it's the value of a quality education.
In my experience, the Nevada State Education Association
has consistently stood up for quality education
for our kids and their future.
Any questions?
As a former state legislator and now state controller, Kathy Augustine exemplifies the leadership and integrity we expect in elected officials. She sponsored legislation to change the law so that the state controller can collect Nevada's outstanding debt. Now, in just 10 months, more than $1 million in state debt has been recovered, thanks to state controller Kathy Augustine. Let's continue fiscal accountability in state government. On November 5th, re-elect Kathy Augustine state controller.
Since the incredible mediation job he did with the cities of Reno, Sparks, and Washoe County, James Hardesty, District Court Judge, is with us for the first time to speak in public about what went on.
And just to review things, Sam, there was a lawsuit filed by Washoe County, as I recall, against Reno, and Judge Hardesty took that lawsuit and said, no, instead I'm going to mediate, and has worked out a settlement. Judge Hardesty, could you tell us, please, what were the most important things that affect the people of Reno and Washoe County that came out of that settlement?
Well, there are quite a number of items. Frankly, I think people are still digesting the settlement agreement and what all has transpired. It is perhaps the most far-reaching resolution of land development and land use in our county in years. Most importantly, I think, to begin with, the public should be proud of the fact that their elected officials from each of the three important governing bodies and the regional board decided that working together was more important than working against each other. And they found a way to develop what I think will be a major step in handling planning and zoning in our community. It's an extraordinary complex issue. It involves an awful lot of questions, whether they be tax questions or water usage or the like. But there was a forum started that allowed people to begin to work together. In summary, we developed several new concepts for planning and zoning in the area. First of all, I introduced the subject of cooperative planning. Instead of this constant friction between the governing bodies, why not, by agreement, force cooperative relationships in how these areas are planned and developed? And so we introduced a whole new concept called cooperative planning. The second thing is that I got a commitment from everyone that our planning efforts should be resource constrained, that natural resources play an integral role in the future and the development of our community, and those should guide and direct where we are headed. That hasn't always been the case. I also think that the important feature, and I was frankly surprised by this, it occurred early in the process, but these people will always have some disagreement, understandable disagreements, legitimate disagreements, and they needed to have a dispute resolution mechanism. Quite to my surprise, at their recommendation, they said, "Judge, we want you to be in a position to ultimately resolve disputes between us." And I had encouraged them to consider other alternatives, but all of the parties urged me early in the process to essentially be a dispute resolution mechanism so that there could be an end game for these constant disputes that take place.
Judge, what was it like in the courtroom with all these personalities and conflicts?
It was an interesting dynamic, a very opinionated group of people, but also very dedicated and hardworking. They care about their community. You know, there's a lot of publicity about the squabbles and the distrust, and there has been, and there is a lot of that. But the fact of the matter is, whatever direction these people come from, they care about our community deeply. If it wasn't their sincere concern about our future and where we're headed, you wouldn't have these substantial passions that take place. And we had to overcome that. We needed to work toward dispute resolution instead of engaging in more disputes.
Let me ask you a little more specifically. The city of Reno and its spheres of influence, it's been one of the county's fears that Reno would just continue to grow and gobble up everything in its sight. Is that going to be limited now by this settlement? How does that stand?
And we have about a minute.
Yes, it will. The parties agreed that spheres of influence will now be cooperatively planned in areas where the city expects its boundaries to extend. It and the county will jointly cooperate in the planning of those areas. Sparks, same thing. Sparks and the county will jointly plan those areas. Any disputes that generate from those planning processes will proceed through the dispute resolution mechanism. But there isn't an automatic extension of the city's boundaries. Now there is a constraint, and it's constrained by a whole number of criteria that the parties are supposed to consider and work out together.
And if it doesn't work out, then it's back to the lawsuit, correct?
No. The lawsuit was dismissed. The one thing I told them is this: if you want a dispute resolution mechanism and you want it ended first and forever, you have to agree there will be no appeals from any decisions that are made in Department 9. And they all agreed to that.
If this works, then the Middle East is next for you. Thank you so much for being here, Judge Hardesty.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
We'll be right back on Nevada Newsmakers.
It happened at Enron. It happened at WorldCom. It could happen here in Nevada. Lieutenant Governor Lorraine Hunt has repeatedly tried to take millions from our state pension funds for risky venture capital schemes. The Las Vegas Sun criticized Hunt's plan, saying pensions should be protected.
Here's another tip for you, Lorraine Hunt. Stay away from my pension.
We need a lieutenant governor on our side.
Pension investments should be made by professionals, not politicians.
Vote for Aaron Kenney on November 5th.
What can I do with myself? I don't want just a job. I want a professional career, one that will give me a good income, flexible hours, a clean working environment. But most of all, I want a job where I don't do the same thing every day.
Have you ever considered a medical career?
As a doctor or a nurse, 4 to 8 years of college? I don't think so.
No, just 12 months.
Just 12 months? As what?
Medical assistant.
What do they do?
Perform basic laboratory tests in a medical office or clinic. Basically, you're a doctor's assistant.
How much does it pay?
The highest 10% earn more than $32,850 per year.
Wow, that's great. Tell me more.
Hi, this is Kathy at CCNN. Call me now, and I'll tell you how you can get started right away at Career College of Northern Nevada. Call 856-2266. That's 856-CCNN. Don't wait, call now.
I don't have enough time to get my health checked. If you want more time, get a health check. Health Check, a comprehensive health screening program for the early detection of heart disease, strokes, and cancer. Reno Diagnostic Centers. For appointments or information, call 785-6305.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're joined by Chris Wicker and Greg Ferraro. First question goes to you, Pete, and it's kind of a follow-on from what Joe Neal was saying. He said the governor could have raised taxes. The gaming taxes haven't been raised since 1987.
Absolutely. And the governor could have raised taxes, but he didn't. And if Senator Neal wants to attack the governor for not raising taxes, I'm totally comfortable with that.
Okay, Chris, you're in the paper this morning.
No, he didn't answer the question. Yeah, go ahead.
No, but you feel free to fill in the blanks.
I think Joe Neal makes some very excellent issues that aren't really getting the light of day. He talks about how the gaming taxes are so much higher in other states than they are in Nevada. And
Which
yet
is a bogus issue.
Yet the gaming companies
Totally
are rushing to go out of state to locate there. Now, Joe Neal's position is too high, but it's something that isn't really seeing the light of day except through Joe Neal.
But
So I think he's doing an important issue.
Those messages, if they're so good, aren't getting any support from the institutional party, clearly aren't mainstream supported.
No, I'd say that the gaming industry has taken care of that very well.
You're not falling into that crevice too, are you?
But didn't he try an initiative petition to get the gaming taxes raised and couldn't get the signatures?
Oh, he was way too high. He was way too high. I mean, the last thing we want to do is to hurt our gaming industry. That's the last thing we want to do.
But I've said it before and I'll say it again. I think Joe Neal or Andy Barbano or both had a bad meal in a casino one day and can't get over it.
Okay, Chris, let's go to the issue that you were quoted on in the paper this morning, which is, and your concern about Democrats upholding this boycott against the Democratic Party. How seriously concerned are you?
Well, it's very unfortunate anytime any organized group is saying, let's boycott Democratic candidates, particularly in a situation like this, where I think it's really so unfair to do so. I spoke to Bill Moon yesterday, who's the leader of this group, and he's a very principled guy, very highly regarded, but I think he's just wrong on this, to try to punish Democratic candidates for some decision that the state party made. And I have to say that the county parties were not consulted on this, neither were the candidates. However, I just can't fathom why Joe Neal is endorsing Lynette Boggs McDonald. She's against affirmative action. She's very much down the line on Republican issues, which are really not the usual
but
issues.
She's also a close personal family friend, and she's also black. I mean, there are no two ways about it. These two people are close, and it would seem that there's and friends.
Yeah, and I think that's true. But what I'm saying is that's the reason the state party did it.
Yeah, not good politics.
Yeah, it's all politics. I talked to Terry Kerr, and he was most distressed that anybody has raised a claim of racism against him, because I've talked to the people after the fact, and I can say without a doubt it's the McDonald issue. That's the only issue that's led to this.
But I remember when Governor Guinn, before he was governor, as a Republican, he endorsed Democrats occasionally. Did the Republicans?
No, and I think ultimately it's just such a disrespectful thing to Senator Neal. Nevada has prided itself, regardless of party, of being independent, and I think it's a very redeeming quality, Senator Neal's, that he was willing to reach across the aisle and endorse somebody that he believed in. I think the bigger issue for the Democrats and Senator Neal is his endorsement of Yucca Mountain. I think that's probably the bigger issue that makes them run away from him.
I'm sorry this race isn't more competitive, because for one, I think Joe Neal's message is one that's been out there and it's not having any traction. But more importantly, I think the governor in a competitive race would position himself even better than he is today. And
well, you need to talk to people who have money.
Respond to the governor's message.
Right, but you need to have people who are prepared to put up money to hear that second voice, and that certainly wasn't going to happen this year. Let's talk about...
I just want to say that there can't be any doubt that Joe Neal is a very classy guy, very principled, and this whole thing is very unfortunate, and I hope it doesn't hurt the Democratic candidates.
Okay, let's talk about the Deutsch-Sferrazza race. Gazette-Journal says that Julie Sferrazza did not show up for the editorial board. What does this mean, Greg?
I don't know what it means. You know, it's obviously an opportunity to express her point of view, and either for some reason she missed it or she chose not to attend. I would think that the endorsement of the paper is fairly important. Maybe she believes she's not going to get it, and so she chose to sidestep it. But I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see how important newspaper editorials will be in this election cycle. They've taken some bold positions on a number of ballot questions and candidates, and we'll have to see how they come out.
What about newspaper endorsements?
We've got to be very quick.
Well, I don't know how important they are, but I would say it's a harbinger of a bigger issue that she doesn't want to talk about the issues.
All right, okay, we've got to go here, and we'll be back on Nevada Newsmakers right after this timeout.
Corporate wrongdoing has jeopardized the health of the financial markets, which is why Congressman Jim Gibbons supported stronger enforcement measures and corporate reform. Jim Gibbons understands that most of the over 10,000 publicly traded companies play by the rules and believes that those who don't should get hard jail time and forfeit their ill-gotten gains. Hardworking Nevadans should have the assurance of knowing that corporate America will be held to a higher ethical standard. Congressman Jim Gibbons will work hard to reform corporate America and punish those who jeopardize your retirement and your financial security. Re-elect Jim Gibbons to Congress.
Coming up tomorrow on News Channel 8 Daybreak, Lisa Foster will be here with some cute little Halloween guests.
And Chris Healy will be in to tell us about the season opener for deer in Western Nevada. That's tomorrow morning at 5:30 on Daybreak.
Rumors is Reno's first and finest full-service salon, specializing in hair, nails, skin, makeup, and body services. Rumors Full-Service Salon. Call for your appointment today. You've heard the rumor, and it's true.
Now offers a variety of products with a choice of material and finishes. Create your own look of individuality with interior windows of mahogany, cherry, Douglas fir, pine, cedar, maple, and 50 standard exterior colors at no upcharge. Custom shop quality without the custom shop prices. All things Eagle Window and Door customers come to expect. For that extra touch you're looking for, Eagle Window and Door, just west of Keystone on 4th.
Mom's recipe for life is to enjoy it to the fullest. That's why she told me about Northern Nevada's Diagnostic Breast Care Center. From how to watch for breast cancer to how to stay fit and reduce health risks, they answered all of my questions. Thanks to Mom's advice, I'm enjoying life on my terms. So about the only question I still have is, I was getting stuck with the dishes.
Northern Nevada Medical Center, quality health care close to home.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, time for predictions. Chris?
Well, I think that there's a bunch of close races out there, but I think that I'll go back to the Carter-Washington. I think Joe Carter's going to win that race on a close one.
It's going to be very interesting. Pete?
My prediction is there are no close races, and it's a Republican tidal wave. All the constitutional offices, 2 of the 3 congressional offices, and in big margins.
You know, this is not the McLaughlin group. Greg?
I predict that Pete's right.
Safe.
You know, folks, this is where you make up your own minds on this. And, of course, Election Day coming up on Tuesday. We'll have shows Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week. And we'll follow up. Greg will be down in Las Vegas. We're going to try and set up a satellite hookup for him. And we'll be back with you on Nevada Newsmakers on Monday at 11 a.m. here on News Channel 8. And you can watch the rerun of this show tonight at 9 o'clock on Cable Channel 12.